The WNBA is in a very significant situation themselves. Just this week, they've fined players on the New York Liberty, Indiana Fever, and Phoenix Mercury $500 each. These guys make $72,000 per year, by the way, and each organization was fined $5,000 for wearing Black Lives Matter and Dallas 5 shirts during warmups. Darren, I mean, what are your thoughts initially on this type of social activism that mirrors what happened in the NBA just this past year?
Exactly. I think we're living in an age where social media and social tools have made it so that these platforms exist on a totally different level than they did even 5-10 years ago. And so athletes, while, we always harken back to the Charles Barkley mantra of I'm not a role model, they feel more obligated today than ever before to be that because they put themselves out there so much. And so I look at the stand that these women took. I thought it was courageous. I thought it was no different than the media blackout that the LA Clippers did last year when they, turned their jerseys inside out or a couple years back in Sterling, in the face of Donald Sterling. For them to be fined, and here's what gets me. The NBA is going through this and has shown 100% support for their players. This is the sister or the baby sister league of this. You would think that they're looking at Adam Silver and saying, okay, we're going to do whatever it is you're doing. We're going to follow suit absolutely to the T. The guy, like we said earlier, he's been on can't miss mode since he took over. So why wouldn't your immediate buddy, your immediate league, the one that you've cradled and babied, why wouldn't they just follow your lead? To sort of find these players is not just a slap in the face of the movement or the conscious sort of political statement they were making, but as a women's league, it's also a slap in the face of women.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Justin, it's interesting to see Carmelo Anthony kind of being the head of this movement now. He's going to have a kind of a town hall in Los Angeles next Monday with guys from USA Basketball, etc. People are saying Melo and these activist guys should maybe be paying the fine for these WNBA players. Do you agree with that?
I don't think it's their obligation to do that. When I saw Carmelo Anthony speak out on the issue, I was actually kind of anticipating that being the case. I don't think anybody should tell anybody how to spend their money. I think it would be a great gesture. We see players give out money for fines to teammates and stuff like that. And I did appreciate, though, Carmelo Anthony speaking up and talking about how the NBA was so supportive of the demonstrations they did after Trayvon Martin and so many other issues that have gone on. And I kind of share Darren's disbelief that the WNBA wouldn't be supportive of this. And I think just the whole way that they've gone about handling the situation has been botched from moment one. I think they could certainly do a better job of explaining the fines, supporting their players. I mean, they're within their rights to do it, but you kind of have to, if you're going to go out and find them, you can't just quietly find them under the table. You need to come out with a statement addressing the issues that these players want addressed, that they want attention to be given to. I don't agree with the findings, but any organization's obviously within their rights to do it. I just think it needs to come with an explanation, especially when you look at the WNBA that's roughly 90% African-American when you look at the players. This is a big-time issue, both in the United States, and it's something that can directly affect the bulk of your workforce. So I think they need to do a better job of handling it. I think they need to follow the NBA's personally. I think they need to follow the NBA's lead and support their players, support this type of activism. I know that they're a smaller league and maybe they don't want to stir up controversy and get people not showing up to games. But at the same time, I do feel like you have an obligation given the demographics of your workforce and the kind of social climate that's going on right now. What's going on is terrifying, and your players feel obligated to speak out towards it.
Yeah, speaking of that, there's a quote from WNBA player Swin Cash, who said, "I don't think you can play basketball and have a platform that we have and not be able to be a voice for the people who are voiceless." And that's it. They have a platform. They want to use it, and they're refusing to be silent. Darren, I mean, this is an ongoing issue. Since these events, these last few days with WNBA players, several of them have refused to talk basketball to the media. They're just saying, we're only going to be talking about social events. What do you think is the next stage?
Well, as a media member, I'm not offended by that. Mm-hmm. What would have been interesting for me, and I wasn't there, if I was a fly on the wall or fly on the ball, so to speak, is to see how the media members there reacted. Was there a half an hour Q&A on the issue? Because that would have been dope. You know, if the media blackout had been presented to them and they actually took advantage of it. And there was, so often in these cases when you see these media blackouts, and a lot of them don't get reported if you're in the locker room or whatever, sometimes they just sort of do that. Guys just sort of drift away. The media just sort of drifts away. But I would love to see what the reaction is going to be in terms of these media blackouts, if the media is going to engage these athletes above and beyond, what they normally do. So the next step for me, I think, is, I've always thought that while all this is great, having the platform is great, speaking and tweeting and sort of rallying troops is great. I know we just lost Muhammad Ali, but I remember he lost 3 years in his prime, standing up for something. And I'm wondering, when you get into the mix of an NBA season, you got practice, you got the grind of the season, there is no let up. You know this as an athlete competing in that big of a stage. There's no let up in terms of the dedication you got to have to your craft. So how much time can you actually dedicate to a movement that requires all of your time? So I would be interested, and I'm not advocating this, and I don't think they're obligated to, but I'd be interested to see how many of these athletes would be willing to give up prime years of their career to dedicate it to using their platform off the court. Because I think when an athlete does what they do, it's great, but I don't coach summer league because I can't dedicate that kind of time and I wouldn't do it right. So while I could be applauded for trying, I want to see that next step. And to me, it might be sacrificing a lot of the time you spend on the basketball court.
Moving on.